Hey, what's going on, Archons? It is time for a Patreon supporter video. That's right, it's your monthly addition into the amazing collection of none other than Vaultboy. So this week, Vaultboy has presented me with Era Minta M. Belhodge, the Enigmatic. Wow, that's quite the name. As you can see, we're doing the usual thing here in DOK, having a look, and right off the top, what are the things that jump out? Well, obviously there's a battle fleet and a double key abduction. Double key abduction, that's what you're looking at, right? That's what I'm looking at. So when we look at the double key abduction, the things I noticed right off the top is there is only 4 creatures inside Mars. So the key abducting part itself of returning your Mars creatures to your hand is not going to work the same way that it can in other situations. But reveal your hand, purge each revealed non-Mars creature and gain 1 number. Okay, interesting. That's kind of interesting. That feels very counterintuitive to what you want to do with key abduction, but could work in other ways. So wow, this I like this list a lot because it's really making me think about the key abduction thing, and maybe that's a mistake, the battle fleet key abduction. But for those of you who do not know battle fleet, which has, in my opinion, the most epic balance sheet art in the game, it says reveal any number of Mars cards from your hand. For each card revealed this way, draw 1 card. Now, standardly, with a key abduction battle fleet play, you need multiple battle fleets for that to really go off. But in this deck, not so. Because you have the fun thing that exists in Logos. Double lab work, library access, library of Babel, and 2 mothers. So all those things are basically the setup for Mars. If you can manage to get 1 or 2 Mars creatures on the battlefield, cool. If not, I don't think it really matters. Also, Invasion Portal being on the board can be helpful as well to get a Mars creature. But really, you want to set up this library access turn to go into a battle fleet. You're like Magic Christmas Lands, whatever you're hoping for, is to have lab work, archiving Mars cards, going into a library access turn with a library babble out. If your mothers are not currently on the board, you're hoping to draw into them. This way you can, same with the Doc Book Dynamite. Is this one draw? Yeah, you want that out too, potentially, to draw another card. Get a big hand size going on this Logos turn. Hopefully you have maybe been playing some Untamed cards. You've been holding back on some Mars cards. And then you're just going to get into a situation where you have your lab work with some other Mars cards. And then you go through this turn, and ideally your library access ends with the majority of your hand is Mars. And you have both your mothers out. So your hand side is now 8 cards. Then you follow up that turn with the battle fleet play. Either maybe it was archived through lab work, pull your archives, battle fleet. Hopefully you're holding at least 6 cards, so you can draw 6 cards, which will put you up to 14 cards in hand. And then, you know what, you can key abduct and you get there. What is the number? It's plus 9, 6, 9, so you need 15. So yeah, 14 plus the key abduction ember, you're key abducting. If you have more than that, you're just laughing. And yeah, you can get 2 off, I think, that way, in theory, pretty easily if this all works out. Now, obviously, in this sort of situation, this makes me feel that if I'm going to be looking for the key abduction play and getting those cards, you're going to be wanting to use your Untamed early game to kind of dilute the Untamed aspects. So you're drawing more into Logos and Mars. Mimicry could be very handy in any game. Like, Mimicry is just such a great card. Having that at your disposal is really key. I also like if you maybe are playing so I was gonna say, if you are playing, like, you do have some Mars cards early and you gotta play, you have the regrowth to pull those back going into that. I could almost say you'd use the same thing to pull Logos cards back if a library access play is coming around the corner. Lost in the Woods, I'd even say pulling back. Yeah, Mars, I think, is who you want to throw back in the deck. You definitely don't want to throw back any of your Untamed. I think Logos or Mars is okay to be thrown back, provided that you get yourself into a position where library access is coming, battle fleet is coming, type of thing. But you really need to have those pieces. You need both the draw points to really make everything work. But the turns are going to be just gangbuster going into it, I think. Like, if you can have that Logos turn and then follow with that Mars turn, like, it's going to be pretty solid. It'd be very spicy. Like I said, the regross, I think, are to get the other two houses in play. The only reason I could see maybe not using it in that capacity is if you need to stall a little bit and you need to pull a Mermook back to get yourself in that position. There's also over here Witch of the Eye. Ooh, I do like the Witch of the Eye. If you can protect it, which doesn't really look like you can. Oh, you have a Dominator. If you can get a Dominator out and Biomatrix backup. Oh, I don't even... I guess it depends on how the game's going, but your Witch of the Eye with the backup, your Mermooks or Hunting Witch with the backup as well, I think is also potential candidates. If the cards are just, you know, not coming with the game plan, I think that's a really fun way of going about it. Phosphorus Stars, I mean, it could work in your favor. It could work. I wouldn't be opposed to it. Let's just say that. This is... there's something about this card that I know this card kind of... It has a purpose, but it feels also counterintuitive. But it may work if you're like, okay, I have Ancient Bear, Inca. Yeah, unfortunately, these are pretty nice cards in Untamed that you kind of want in the creatures. And this already has a low creature count. And 13 pips, I wouldn't say is huge. But I mean, you do have the potential to cycle into things. So I could see you going with Martial Make Bad Allies to even thin your hand a little bit for that cycle play. Maybe you're setting up a logo. So in which case, you do take the hit on a Mermook or something. You let it happen. What is it saying is the Ember Control? Just Effervescent Principle, 2 Grabber Janitors, and 2 Mermooks. So not a ton of Ember Control. So that's also interesting. So I think you close out the game with this deck 100% using key cheats. And key cheats, I mean key abductions. So it's a matter of sustaining to the point where you can hit that critical mass and get what you need, which is kind of cool, actually. I like this, and I want to see this in action. I mean, I even like Lost in the Woods from the sense that you might have, let's say, Quixo and Titan mechanic out. Even Doc Booked in to an extent, and you Lost in the Woods them back because you could library access into them and then keep going type of thing. I like that play. Yeah, the Witch of the Eye feels like it could be really, really handy for like regross, for mimicry, reusing your mimicries if your opponent especially has something really juicy. I also kind of like the idea of even just throwing Mars or Logos back to your hand, like I said, with it. If you can have it protected with the Dominator, just do that and then get them back for a future turn, especially when you're set up. This feels like there's a lot of setup with this deck. You don't just play this deck, you craft your hands with this deck, which is like my favorite way to play KeyForge. I don't want to just vomit out cards. I actually like to craft, maybe chain myself for a couple turns to have that one epic play, which I feel like this deck has more than one epic play. There's a lot of different things here. I know I'm missing something, and AJ is going to call me out on it. Oh, here it is. It's Zizix the Many. Yeah, Zizix is pretty crucial. How did I miss this? So if you can get Mars early and you get Zizix out, you use this ability here to reveal creatures basically from either house. I think is fair game. I mean, I could see there's a world exists where you are pretty much doing this to a degree you pull from any house back into your hand. It's just you build up your archive, so you have that fat archive for the key abduction. And then if you have Martians make bad allies, and you just drew a ton with Battlefleet, you could actually, I guess, if you didn't get both key abductions, or let's say you did and you have no keys, you go 1 key, 2 key, Martians make bad allies, burst up like nobody's business, and then guess what? Yeah, you just got a ton of Ember from purging all the non-Mars, and then you have this Mars play happening, and life is good, and your deck is really thin at that point, which is really neat. Yeah, this Martians make bad allies, I think, is the most interesting card in the deck. That's how I'm feeling right now. I actually really want to play this and mess around with Martians make bad allies, because I think it's quite interesting. You would obviously have to sacrifice the Mermooks potentially, Hunting Witch, Ancient Bears, but I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. I really like how the Untamed can kind of almost be like a red herring. People will be like, oh crap, look at this, some stuff in Untamed. But I think Logos of Mars is where the work's being done in this deck. So let's see how that works. I'm curious to try this out. This is just like, I don't know, this deck looks really cool. I'm super excited to play it. The Effervescent Principles may actually put in a lot of work because of the nature of the way key abductions work. I don't think they're as important. And I really don't care about the chain going off of the library axis, because I should be ending with more than or equal to my hand size the way it's supposed to be if I did that turn correctly. So yeah, that's my take on this. I'm excited to play this not tomorrow but the following Saturday and see how this works, because this is a super interesting deck. Like, I really like the cerebral plays that exist within this. I definitely think there's some cool stuff to be done here, and I can't wait to try it out. So hope you enjoyed this. I do have another space if you wish to have your decks analyzed each month and be part of that tier on my Patreon. There's a link in the comments. And yeah, so Yan is doing it, AJ's doing it, and if you like these videos and would like to see your decks analyzed in this way and then also played by me on a stream date, so you can get a glimpse of my mind and the way I pilot your decks, yeah, please support and enjoy. I enjoy doing this. It's a lot of fun. So as always, folks, may your Ember never be stolen and your keys forged promptly. Have a good one.